Today we are having a look at the pre-mixed songwriting template we put out yesterday. So I'll be showing you this in Logic Pro X, but we have them for Pro Tools, Reaper, Cubase, FL Studio, Studio One, and Ableton as well. So you can just grab that on the website, download it, and I'll show you what to do with it actually in this video. So let's quickly close this. When first loading your project, it's going to look something like this. So let me show you what the tracks are actually doing. Right here, we have the actual drum. So this is where you are going to be writing your drums, your normal drums that is, because there's multiple drum tracks, more on that later. And so here you just write them. As you can see, this is all pretty much 127 except for these double hits here. Of course, this is not a masterclass in how to humanize drums. This is just a quick mix so you can get started with an awesome sound. That then goes into some channel EQ, compressor, channel EQ again, and on the bus we have another compressor, compressing basically all of those drums together. And so this way you have a instantly ready drum sound. Of course, Mjolnir drums is kind of made to instantly have a big sound already, but still, depending on the mix, there's always going to be some things you want to change. Then right underneath that, we also have the effects drums. So you notice in the intro of that song, if I solo this, there's like these super lo-fi, distorted kind of crappy drums. And that is actually also Mjolnir, just completely destroyed with effects. The reason we added this was because previously, on the actual demo song this was before, it had a damage loop. So that's a pretty cool paid library that has all kinds of loops. But the thing is, obviously, we can't just go around and sharing WAV files from other companies. And then also, that would no longer work in other BPMs. And so that would be a whole mess. It would basically make it so you would have to go and buy that plugin just to use the template. Very unideal. So we decided, hey, let's kind of remake that type of sound with Mjolnir. So now you have a type of crushed effects drum that you can also write. You know, maybe your intro can use some crushed, messed up drums before the actual song hits. And so you would want to write that in here. Then underneath, we have the same thing, but for cymbals. So as you can see right here, it's like with distortion. Then there's a bit crusher on there, some crazy EQ as well. And of course, in other DAWs, it's always going to sound a little bit different, but the templates are designed to try and get as close as possible to each other. Afterwards, we have Sanguine bass. Of course, this is my favorite bass we have out right now. We also have other cool basses like Loki, Kraken, Mayo bass, but this is my personal favorite. But I have to say, Aristides instruments are just incredible. I'm a huge fanboy. Pascal and the team do an incredible job, and so yeah, I really like Sanguine. Now, with that being said, if you use another bass of ours like Loki or Kraken or Mayo, or maybe you're a bass player and you're recording your own bass, we also included a Sanguine bass stem, a WAV file right here, so you can EQ and level match your bass recording to this one. So you can try to get as close as possible, make sure that your bass is trying to do the same thing as this stem in this particular mix, so that when you then save your bass tone, the mix will still work and you save it as a template and the whole template will still be functional. Of course, it's still going to work the best with the bass it was designed for, but it should be close enough. Much easier at least than starting from scratch. Then for the next track, we just have some like wishy-washy ambience right here. And then we also have a riser here. So these are from the Bifrost pack. Feel free to use this riser for your own songs. But of course, if you want way more options, our Bifrost effects pack is available on our website. This is just one quick example of the type of sound you can get in there. I really wanted to add this because effects like this really add life to your sound. A transition from a verse to a chorus just gets way more epic when you have a riser like this. Though I do have to say, maybe in the template it was a little too loud. If you don't like over-the-top effects, maybe you want to turn this down like a couple dB. Then we get into the good stuff, the Odin Guitars. So there's multiple Odin tracks because Odin can do many things, of course. We have the rhythm track right here. So for the tone, it's actually pretty simple. This is literally just Fenrir Mini, our free amp sim. You can get that on our website. And of course, if you don't want the paid version, which has different IRs, all kinds of ways to tweak the tone, then you can literally click upgrade to Fenrir and you'll be brought to that page. It then goes into a linear EQ right here and then into a multi-band compressor. Afterwards, we have the leads right here. Once again, just Fenrir Mini. We try to keep this template as free plugin friendly as possible, except for the virtual instruments, of course. And that then goes into a bus with some delay and some reverb to make it all lead-ish. Now next, we also have ambient guitars. So this way, if your song has some ambient guitars, you can also add that. And as you can see in the MIDI, these are also a bit lower velocity. If you wanted to be really gentle picking, you could even push this to like 57. Then we've got a guitar intro right here, and here it's actually lo-fied. Which is really useful because a lot of metal guitar intros are usually lo-fi guitars before the whole mix kicks in. So you have a contrast between a smaller sound and a bigger sound. So this way, once again, you can literally just write your big rhythm guitars here, your leads here, your ambient guitars here, and then your lo-fi guitars here, and it's all already here for you. Now, the final part of the guitars that I was really excited about is the guitar synth. So what does this mean? Basically, before that, kind of like with a damage loop, this was a synth pad kind of soundscape. But of course, because not every single DAW comes with proper synth pads, we had to figure out some other way, you know. How can we make a soundscape that fills up that nice bright high end while still making that translate in every DAW? And the solution was just turn Odin into a synth soundscape. If you destroy it with effects enough, you can absolutely fill that high end. So as you can hear right here, there is literally no guitar left. It's that simple, but it does the job that we wanted it to do. In the context of the mix, this is just adding more layers and grandeur, and so the result is really awesome. Really, really cool. Now, finally here, you can also see the Mjolnir drum stem. So let's say you use some other kind of drum sampler. You can try to level and EQ match your drums to this to kind of make it work with the template. Now, I will say that is a fair bit harder with drums, you know. If you are trying to turn your drums into this particular drum stem, you know, it's gonna be pretty tough, but it's definitely possible, and having a slightly different mix doesn't necessarily make the mix bad, it'll just be different. Again, you have Mjolnir drums and Sanguine bass here in stem form, so you can literally just try and copy the sound, try and copy the balances, and then you're good to go. Now, let's say you downloaded this. What do you do with this afterwards? You know, how do you start writing with this? Well, it kind of depends on how your DAW works with templates, but for example, for Logic, I can literally just delete all of these tracks and then go to File, Save as Template, and I can literally turn this into a template. So every time I open a new project, I can say, oh, I want to load this template, and now boom, this will be loaded up. I can start writing my rhythm guitars, writing my lead guitars, writing my bass, writing my drums, and my mix will already sound like this mix. So I will have a really awesome tool here for songwriting where I can focus on the song rather than fiddling with extra knobs. I will be sure that, hey, this starting point, this mix is already going to sound really, really cool, and I can focus on what really matters, you know, the vocal hooks, the lead guitars, the riffing, and so forth. Now, it's definitely possible that your particular song doesn't necessarily fully fit this mix, you know, and that's not the end of the world. You're still going to have a really solid starting point, but of course, if this song was written in, say, I don't know, drop B. I don't know if that's correct. I need to double check. But if it was written in drop B and suddenly you're going to double drop C or something crazy, you're going to make some fall. Yeah, sure. The mix might need to change a little bit, but at least you have a really solid starting point, and I hope it's helpful for you. The link will be in the description once again. And may I remind you that we currently have the Black Friday sales up as well. We currently have a discount code, and that discount is going to be bigger than any other discount we do for at least another year. It will be vanishing in December, so better be quick. Thank you so much and happy producing.